What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm gonna do a little bit of a market breakdown and a day trading breakdown of the trade I took. So, I gotta be straight with you guys. Did pretty shit today. I'm a little upset, but and I'm gonna explain to you why. But on the other hand, I am still up $985. I got to get back to basically where I was and get to 3K to finish the combine to get my funded account back through Top Step. So I'm going to show you guys the mistakes I made so that way you guys can learn from them and you guys don't make them yourselves. Because that's like the most important part of all of this, right? So to be exact, I lost $941 today. And basically, before I show you my trade, I took my first trade. I had valid reason, had great confirmation, everything. It just didn't go in my favor. Well, it did end up going in my favor just like 20 minutes later, though. So one of those shitty parts about trading in the market, you know. But one of the one of the things I did was after I took my first loss, which was actually my biggest loss in a single trade that I have let myself lose in a very, very long time. And I'm going to explain the reasons why I sort of held on and I sort of just held like a falling knife. But then after I took that trade, I actually switched over to a thing called Micro E Mini NASDAQ. And it's the same exact thing, it just moves a lot smaller. So, like with this NASDAQ futures, like with the E Mini, as you can see right here, the E Mini NASDAQ right here, 100, whenever it moves up or down, doesn't matter if you're going long or short, it'll go by like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, and up like that. Whereas in the micro E mini NASDAQ 100 futures, it moves more like once $1. It moves by like the dollar increments. So you can still make some money, but it's like at a lot smaller. The same kind of move that would make me $200 trading a Nasdaq futures would make me only like probably 40 to $50 if it was one contract on the micro E mini Nasdaq, which is MNQ right here, as you can see. Moves the same exact direction. Every single candlestick is exactly the same. But yeah, let's get back to that. Let's get to the trade that I took. My first trade, I lost $750, and this is actually where I lost it at. So let me zoom in real quick for you guys. So NASDAQ had a nice rally, broke above the 15-minute open range high, which was at 108, kept hitting higher highs, and then we got rejected around, we started to get rejected around 15,140. We pulled back. I was waiting for that pullback back to the new support, and I was going to see if like I was going to basically wait for it to validate as a strong support and then go long and let it continue hitting higher highs and higher lows. That was like the end of that. That was sort of like the bigger picture game plan. But then, as you can see, it did break below that new support, but it did hold the EMA as a strong support. And when it held the EMA as a strong support, and then it broke above, as you can see, it only held above for about 2 minutes, two candlesticks. I'm on the 1 minute time frame. This is actually where I went long. We did pull back to the EMA, and we rode it for a good second, and I didn't get out until I was about right here. Now I know, like you guys are probably wondering, well, okay, you know what? You hit a lower low. Why didn't you get out? And the biggest thing was we were very, very bullish pre-market. We were, the moment the market opened, we had a nice little bounce, had a strong rally, and so I was pretty determined that we were bullish for the day, and I was thinking about going short for a split second, but then I was like, you know what? I actually have it here on my computer where I have the trend is your friend. If you're hitting higher highs and higher lows, what's the point of trying to go short when we're still hitting higher highs, you know, and vice versa. But yeah, that was my first trade. I lost $750. I really wasn't happy with it, but yeah, I haven't lost that much in one trade in honestly, a very long time. And this is actually my first red week in like 5 or 6 weeks. So I got a lot I can complain about, but I also got a lot where it's like, hey, you know what? 12-day green streak. Took that first loss on Tuesday. Had a nice day on a Thursday, and then today, because I didn't trade on Wednesday because market direction was shit. So, but yeah, the next thing I did though was like I said, I went over to the micro Nasdaq futures and I did trade it. I made up some loss, and I got down to around 6.99, and then I actually went on, and then I went back to Nasdaq futures once I was down like almost 600 flat, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let's see if I can make at least $100 or $200 back up. And I traded like really late into the market, probably about 20 minutes, and I just got faked out. And basically, to sum it up, that's when forced me to end the day down $941. So there's a lot I can take back and a lot I can learn from this. I'm gonna tell you guys the thing. On Fridays, I'm gonna start telling you guys the things that I'm gonna be doing on Saturday and Sundays, and even Friday night. That's gonna help me prepare for the next week and help me learn from my lessons. And one of those things is I journal all of my trades. And what I'm going to do on this weekend is I'm going to go through every day I traded, and I'm going to gather up all the lessons I learned and all the mistakes I learned. And I might make a short video about it Saturday or Sunday, just me explaining every single lesson and mistake I made this past week. Because this week was pretty bad, honestly. I didn't just lose like a few $100s. I mean, at one point, after Tuesday, and then I made back some on Thursday. After all of that, and then today, I've definitely ended the week well over down $1,000. So there's down 2%. So not necessarily happy about that. Pretty disappointed in myself. I will say that I'm never gonna let myself take this big of a loss, especially for one contract. Two contracts is it's very, very easy to lose $750 off of one trade with two contracts when it comes to Nasdaq futures. That is very easy. But one contract, you have to you basically have to be holding a falling knife to get screwed $750 off of one contract. So one thing I will say is, and I think that was another thing too, is like when I go back here and I look, I really didn't want to get out until we broke below that 15,075, because we wouldn't be hitting lower lows until we broke below that 075 range. And then that's when I got out. But because I got in and I went long all the way up here, that was sort of my biggest downfall right there. Maybe if I would have got in, maybe if I would have went long the moment we cracked the EMA right here. But even then, I'm still trying to stick to this 15-minute open range breakout strategy. And honestly, for my first month for using it, going 3 weeks, had 3 green weeks out of 4. I mean, I'm still technically up a good amount on profit. I mean, I'm up almost still 2%. So, in the first month of using it, being up almost 2%, I got a little bit I can complain about, but on the other hand, I did give a lot back. Let's be honest. At one point I was up almost 5.5. I was up about almost 5.5% at one point, because for me to get to that 3K, that's 6% of 50K. And, I gave a lot of that back, and that's something I'm very disappointed in. And I'm willing to admit that. And, I just got to swallow it and just, instead of being down on myself, I know some of you guys have this problem too, where you guys where we'll take a loss and you'll be really hard on yourself, and that doubt starts creeping into your mind. You start really questioning if you can really do this or not. But the most important part is, making sure you learn from your fucking mistakes. Make sure you journal your shit. Make sure you're not letting your emotions get involved, especially when you're down on yourself. Just be honest with yourself. Say, hey, you know what? I was a little bitch today. I let myself overtrade. I took a $300 loss and I just couldn't accept it and walk away. And I couldn't control my emotions. So I overtraded and I lost a lot of money. We've all been there. And that's fine to make that mistake from time to time. But what's more important is journaling those trades, reviewing those trades, and making sure you don't make those same damn mistakes week after week. The one thing that was my biggest goal when I started trading futures was was I would lose $1,000 every week. I would just have one day where I lose $1,000, and I would have 4 days in a row where I'm green. And one of the biggest things that I have been aiming for the past 3 to 4 months of really doing this, excuse me, is just allowing myself to be like, hey, walk away when I'm down, try to be really, really picky about my trades. And that's what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to give myself just one trade a day. And as you guys can see, when I have a green day, that really is just one trade. Whenever I make $150 or $270 or even $500, that's one trade, and I'm down, and I'm out, and I'm done, and I walk away. And I wish I could just do that when I take a loss. So that for me, at least, that's something that I need to work on. I can work on that. Work on when I take that first loss, just be done. Accept it. The one thing that I do forget, and I think some of us forget too, because we're all human, we all have tomorrow. You always got tomorrow to trade. I mean, no shit, it's Saturday tomorrow, I can't trade. But I still got next week. I got all of next week and the week after that and the week after that. And I'm still young. I'm 28 years old. I do feel like I should be way far ahead, and that's partially to blame because of social media, but comparison's definitely the thief of joy is what I've learned this past year. I follow a lot of day traders who make a lot of money and, seeing their Lambos and their $10,000 day profits, it makes me feel like shit after I lose $900, but I've just realized, like, hey, the one thing like I don't let myself forget is, hey, at some point that dude did lose $1,000. At some point that guy did have multiple red days in a row. At some point that guy had multiple red weeks or multiple red months in a row. And I've been there. When I first started trading, I think I had my first 6 months, I had 6 red months in a row. And the worst I ever did in 1 week was I had 4 red days in a row. And I almost this is when I really didn't understand the psychological part of trading and walking away and just taking loss and cutting your losses. It's just, trading is something that I have fallen in love with, and I love it so much. And I don't love losing money, no matter if it's on a combine, no matter if it's on my own personal brokerage account through Webull, no matter if it's through a funded account through TopStep. Nobody likes losing money, but at the end of the day, as long as I learn from my mistakes and I'm focused on getting better and I'm willing to swallow my pride and say, hey, this is what I did wrong. This is what I could have done differently. And this is what I will do different next time. Now, back to my trade. What could I have done differently? This past trade, what could I have done different so that way I don't make that same mistake? And one of those is once we broke that support, we held it at the EMA and it held as a strong support for a little bit, for about 10, 12 minutes. I should have waited for a break above, an open above, and wait for a shallow pullback for it to retest. Then, as it starts making higher highs, get into a long position. Another thing too is because I am doing the support and the resistance trades now with this 15-minute open range breakout strategy. I will say this, and this is something that I really hope you guys are doing, and that's setting my stop loss. I don't really like setting the stop loss with Tradovate through TopStep. I just don't like how they have it set up. So for Webull, at least, you'll have this line that's straight across the chart, and it's right where your stop loss is, and you can physically move it. Whereas in TopStep, you'll just see it right here. So let's say I get in at 120 and I go short, but I want my stop loss set at 140. It'll just show it right here, and there's no line across, which makes it, it gives me a little bit of stress. But I think that's one thing I can start doing with this strategy. Because again, there's no reason why I should ever lose $750 in a single trade with one contract with NASDAQ futures. Don't get me wrong, it's 29x leverage, but I could have been more picky about the entry I got in at, and I could have, and another thing too is this is where I go back, earlier this week. I have to work on creating a game plan before I get into a trade. That's probably my biggest problem is I don't really go into a trade with a game plan. You know, like yeah, like let's say we did get a bounce, and my whole point was going higher highs. Like one thing I do always do is like let's say like I go long, right? And then I see this area of rejection at 140. Well, I got in at 110. So initially, like what I would be doing, and this is what I've done in the past, is let's say I go long. As we get closer to 140, I'm getting ready to sell my contract, simply because that's the next area of rejection. So that's sort of like my exit plan when it comes into my trades. It's just like, hey, where's the next area that we got rejected at? Where was the last low that we hit? Um, but yeah, those are some of the things that I could have done differently, and I'm gonna work on next week. And I'm definitely gonna do some studying with supply and demand zones and support and resistance trading. Um, but yeah, I really just want to be honest with you guys and just tell you guys I took a shitty loss today. As you guys can see, I'm only up $985. Um, I really like to get your guys' input. So a few months ago, not a few months ago, about 5, 6 weeks ago, I told you guys sort of like what the end goal is for me when it comes to trading this. And it's to get the funded account, pay myself, and then basically put all of that money back into my Webull account and slowly grow it week after week and just going back to trading TQs and SQs. For those who don't know, TQQQ and SQQQ are just triple leverage ETFs that go off for the NASDAQ 100. Basically, when NASDAQ's up 1%, TQQQ is up 3%, and SQQQ is down 3%. SQQQ is the inverse ETF, so it does the exact opposite that TQQQ does and NASDAQ. But I've been thinking about, and like I said, I really would like your guys' input on this, but slowly funding my account and trading, showing you guys my trades on TQs and SQs on Webull. The only thing is you're not going to see like $150 days. You're going to see like, because I'm going to be starting with such a small amount of money, you're going like, my trades are only going to be making me like 10, 20, 30, 40 cents at the most. So, and one thing I do like trading about TQs and SQs is I do personally find it so much easier to average up and average down into a trade. Um, with futures and their contracts, it's a little confusing to me. I'm still working on it, but if you guys expect, yeah, and if any, that's another thing too is if any of you guys, I think it just logged me out. If any of you guys trade futures and you've managed to figure out like a good way to average up or average down into your trades, let me know. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll definitely look into it. But that's really it for the night, guys. I'll see you guys possibly Saturday or Sunday. If not, I'll see you guys Monday morning when the market opens. I hope you guys have a blessed day, a blessed weekend. Um, if you guys got any questions, comment below as usual. Like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Most importantly, I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a good day.